there, welcome back. I am Ramona. This is the Smell of Logic channel where we read Reddit stories, Reddit advice, Reddit to personal encounter things of stuff that has happened to other people. That covers pretty much all the bases. Real quick, I'm going to mention that I produce AI generated art coloring books over they're for sale over on Amazon. I produce one a week, or released once a week, I guess is what I'm saying. Sometimes they're paper dolls, sometimes they're actual coloring books. There's a lot of stuff over there. The link is in the description. Go check out my author page because money is tight and times are hard, and I'm proud of my shit. Let's be fair. Sometimes it's pretty good. But anyway, let us get into the video now that I've shilled, and here we go. This is What is the Strangest Thing That's Ever Happened to You? Part 3, because there's a lot of stuff on here, and people have a lot to say about this sort of stuff, and so we're going to share it, and here we go. I once shut my ear in a car door. No idea how. Just tried to recreate it and can't, but my God, that hurt. When I was younger, we lived in a 110-year-old Victorian house. Everyone would notice weird things. I was home alone organizing the silverware, and I dropped a fork on the table only to have it bounce once and fly at the wall like someone had slapped it. I still have no idea how you can drop something straight down and have it launch horizontally from 5 feet. My parents, when they first bought the house, turned off all the lights, 5 floors if you count the basement and attic. My mom did the top 2, my father did the bottom, and we met in the middle, went to the first floor, left, got to the car, and noticed not only was the 3rd floor light on, but the blinds were now up. We had a seesaw. My mother turned on the light and saw it violently going up and down. I was in the basement and felt a hand brush towards my back. I jumped and turned and saw no one there. I convinced myself that it was just my shirt moving weird. Then I went up the steps and I heard giggling. When I was older, I was sitting on the couch and heard my dad say, "What the F? Watch out!" right before a large framed puzzle we had fell on me. My dad saw it lift itself off the hook. We had a Mastiff, a Rottweiler, and a German Shepherd. They refused to go into the attic. Well, that's never a good sign. I'm just gonna say that there. Our entrance had 2 sets of doors. The front doors, then a small room, then the second set of doors. We never locked these doors, as it was 2 large bolts that went into the floor, and then a 3rd bolt that held the 2 doors together. Locked it very hard with a key, so you could only do it from the inside with considerable force. We came home one day, and the door was locked with all 3 bolts. In other words, our completely sealed house was locked from the inside. My mother flipped, grabbed us, and ran to the payphone to call the police, because if that door was locked, then there is someone in the house, unless we left via a 2nd or 3rd story window. 3 cop cars came. They unlocked the doors with my mother's key and swept every last inch of the place, down to one of them going into our crawl space. Nothing. Not only that, my mother's gold necklace was laying on the table, and all the windows were locked. We had a family friend who was a cop, and one of my uncles who was a cop, spend the night. Next morning, everyone's up, and my uncle goes to leave only to see that the door is again locked from the inside. We moved those locks the same day. The Mastiff was laying next to me while I was watching TV. Suddenly he jumps up and backs into me. He's growling and snarling while staring up the steps. The other tow dogs run in and immediately have their ears go back and their mohawks go up. This went on for several minutes. Our German Shepherd started itching towards the step and did a little lunge, nipping at the air, baring his teeth. Only 5 seconds later I heard what sounded like someone full sprint up the steps to the front floor of the landing, to the 2nd floor steps, then the 3rd. I called my mom from the house phone. While on the phone, I heard what could only be described as a wail from the 3rd floor. Years later, the parents are divorced. I'm with my dad for the weekend. I help him clean up the 3rd floor. We put the toys in a large toy chest from the closet where they come in. While we were brushing our teeth, I go pale. I'm hearing something, so I shut off the water and ask my dad to listen. We both are completely quiet. The sound starts again. It's the sound of clink, clink, but a bit of a rhythm to it. I couldn't place it at first, and then I said, "Dad, I think that's the xylophone." We go up, and the toy chest is open, and the xylophone is on the floor. That one's creepy. That one's a little much for me. I don't think I could handle that much. I'd get a priest in there. I'd get a shaman. I'd get some Wiccans. I don't care. I'd find somebody that could do something about that. That's all I'm saying. So when I was a kid, I slept with my bedroom door open because my cat liked to cuddle me. Our hallway was just a round hallway, and you could see the bathroom door and my parents' bedroom, though it was dark. It was in view. I also slept with my lights only dimmed. One night, I can't sleep for some reason. For some reason, I call out to my mom, and I see her standing near the doorway, kind of turned away from from my from me, with my hand on her face and her hair draping. I know it's her because she slept in a big purple t-shirt that night, but she's also completely still. Static, mind you. I'm wide, feeling awake. I might have been watching TV before this. 3 a.m. Disney Channel, probably. When I call out to her, she doesn't move at all. Blink, she's gone. I start freaking out and calling out to her for real, and that's when I hear the door open and close and my mom rushes in to my aid. I think she either slept with me that night or stayed up all night watching TV to pacify myself. I started sleeping with my door closed out of that, and I still don't look too carefully into the darkness. When I'm going to do something it only happens sometimes, I get a feeling like this exact thing has happened before, like I was in this place before, and that's what happened to me before. I don't know if anyone else has, but that freaks me out. I think my toxic, angry girlfriend, literally last week. She got mad at me and started beating me. I'm serious. I am a victim of a non-exit relationship. Only because I didn't tell her instantly thank you when she gave me a tissue. Every time I tell her that I want to break up, she keeps yelling and starting beating herself and trying to hurt herself with something. I can't live like this anymore. Sorry to go out of context here, but I needed to free myself to someone. If anyone will ever read this. Well, I hope you got out of that situation. Maybe out of context, but if that's the weirdest thing that's ever happened to you, then, yeah. When I was 10, I had a radio and big bean bag in my chair. As I was starting to fall asleep, the radio suddenly changed the channel multiple times before I heard the beanbag chair in my room slowly fold in on itself, making the noise a beanbag chair does when someone were to sit in it. Not sure what caused this, but it certainly freaked me out. I sometimes get flashbacks of several random events that aren't past, present, and couldn't be from the future. It feels like I'm getting glitched in time. I can't remember what happens in the flashlight, but all I can remember is the flashback, sorry. But all I can remember is that they did happen. I've shared this story before, but when I was 17, I was at my friend's apartment building, which his parents owned. It was a pretty old building in the Pennsylvania neighborhood of Chicago, and according to his dad, it used to be owned by Al Capone, but I'm not sure how true that is. We had an apartment on the top floor where they let us use to hang out and allowed us easy access to the attic. It had a lock, but we had a key, so we could go out of the roof and smoke cigarettes. One night we were about to go up, but I had to pee, so I told him I'd meet him up there. After I was done, I went to the stairs, the attic portion that was connected to the roof. There were no lights, so we always used our phones to guide us. That we had old flip phones without lights, but you only had to use the light from the screen to help navigate the cluttered mess that was up there. As I made my way to the roof door, I saw a shadow pass by me. Now, this wasn't like the shadow of something moving with the light of my phone. This shadow felt solid like a person. I followed the direction it went, thinking it was my friend. I kept saying that I knew it was him and had stopped playing around. It passed me a few more times before heading to the other side of the attic, and that's when I heard my friend's voice from downstairs. He got a call from his girlfriend and was in the other room talking to her the whole time. It really freaked me out since I now know I was following something. So I basically jumped down the stairs. I told my friend what happened and did not want to go back up there, and he agreed. So we decided to go for a walk instead. One time I pulled my phone out of my pocket and there was shaving cream all over it. I was at work. I had just taken it out of my pocket when I clocked out for the break. I put it back in my pocket. I walked over to my friend's desk, pulled it back out again to show her something, and there was shaving cream all over it. No effing clue. Still baffled till this day. It was crazy, though. It was all over the phone. I had to take it out of the case to clean it off. Pocket was completely dry, but it was shaving cream I use at home. My sister works at Bath and Body Works, so I had to hook up to really nice shaving cream for free. It's not like it was normal shaving cream. It was thick, silvery paste, not that stuff that comes out like gel and turns to foam. Then it was a really nice scent, and it smelled just like that. It was crazy. The Matrix definitely glitched. Aliens, I don't know. Something happened. Okay, so it was last week. I was having a serious conversation with my friend outside in the mountains on a street. We're sitting at this table and the street light goes out. Classic, but it doesn't end there. The light comes back white instead of yellow, unlike the line of lights it's attached to. Changed color multiple times, then back from yellow to fluorescent. Maybe there's an explanation, but it sure did creep us out. I remember a few years ago, my dad was dating a girl with a dog who'd come over. One night, I'd gotten back to his house for the week and was in the basement watching TV. Our house is pretty open, so I could hear anything going on upstairs. Sometimes I'd hear stuff like creaks or bumps. It was just the house settling or our neighbor up since we have thin walls. But one time I heard the distinct sound of dogs' nails on hardwood which I wouldn't hear from our neighbors. As I called out to our dog, because I thought it might have been home, and I somehow didn't know I heard a loud ass bang and get the fuck out. I don't know what it was, but or what the hell happened after that. Mine is so mild. I owned a strobe light, and one time while it was unplugged, it flashed. It only flashed once. I don't remember if it was recently unplugged or not. I'm sure there was a logical explanation for that. I'm going through a drug-induced psychosis, but it was pretty uneventful. I basically just thought aliens were working undercover through the Vatican, but the strangest thing that happened was that I was walking out, and for some reasons I can't remember, I went into a restaurant. Right at the entrance of the doorway was a mirror, and I vividly remember not having a reflection like that. None. So I walked away and looked back, and my reflection was back. It still sticks with me because I thought you were supposed to see things that weren't there, not the opposite. Made me very wary of crossing roads for a bit. I was in the presence of an angel. A long time ago, a glass was moving on its own, no strings, no flat on a table. I'm not sure how. Taxes. I've had multiple instances of deja vu feeling where things happen exactly as they've happened before, as if they've happened before. This would be the first time that it hasn't happened at all. I also dream some random, often weird shit, and forget about it within an hour of waking up. Some of it might be that, but otherwise, I'm really convinced that I live in a slightly glitchy program, and nothing matters. Yeah, I believe it. I can believe it. Not me, but a friend of mine had weird dream premonitions. If someone in the dream dies, that means someone she knows in real life is pregnant or will give birth. If someone in the dream is pregnant or gives birth, someone she knows in real life will die. When I found out I was pregnant in 2018, her girlfriend at the time confirmed she told her about a dream a few days previous that someone had died. In the morning I went into labor. A friend said that she saw another dream of someone dying. I went into labor in the evening. I wasn't due for over a week and was convinced that I'd go late. It happened years ago and I still have no explanation. My girlfriend and I were spending the night over at my brother's house. My brother, his wife, my girlfriend, and I were the only ones there that night, and the house had the security system turned on. The house was also for sale, and that morning a realtor and his assistant showed up for a scheduled appointment. After that, we left. We sat down at the breakfast to have breakfast, only to discover that some time between dinner and last night and now, someone had emptied all the butter out of one of those I can't believe it's not butter tubs, and was still sitting in the utensil drawer, in a big clump right on top of the silverware, just chilling there, sitting right back at us. The butter tub itself was placed neatly back into the fridge, exactly where it normally would have been. All parties that were there that night still adamantly deny any involvement years later, and we have no idea what the F happened. A car going 50 to 60 mile kpm hit both of my knees in 2008. It was 100% my fault. I wasn't paying attention when I crossed the road. Not only did I not have any broken bones whatsoever, I didn't even fall. I did flinch quite a lot, though. My knees and leg hurt for about 2 days, but I really can't explain how a car going relatively fast hit me. Only got me to have barely more than a couple of bruises. Actually, that happened to a coworker of mine. She got hit, but it didn't do that much damage. It's weird. The human body's weird. I was standing on a table trying to change the batteries in the smoke detector when I lost my balance and fell into the wall. But the wall didn't catch me. It was like I phased through the wall. I'm not sure how to explain it, but I don't know how it happened either. I live in a small town. The nearest city for shopping and restaurants is about 25 miles away. I was on the way to town with my girlfriend and my daughter to go hit the bookstores and stuff like that, what we used to enjoy doing on the weekends before my ex left and COVID effed everything up. Anyway, about halfway there, near a state park, up ahead, hovering maybe 100 feet or less above the center of the road, just above the tree line, is a shiny metallic ball. I was staring at it, trying to figure out what it was and not watching the road. I strayed too far to the left, far to the side of the road, and those little grooves made my tires go brrr. My ex says, "Babe," obviously trying to make it clear that she would like for me not to run us off the road. I looked down and straightened up the car and said, "Did you see that?" She said, "What?" I looked back up to the point and pointed out, and there was nothing there. It was just gone. I still don't know what it was. I still don't have the answer to why this happened, but it was probably about 11 or 12, and my friend was over at my house. I have a dog, and we were in my room, and I turned around, and I swear I saw him jump out the window. I thought nothing of it and carried on playing games. Then my friend said, "Wait, I swear your dog just jumped out the window." And I was like, "Yeah, me too." And that was that. The dog was fine, still very much alive today, only thought how weird it was when I got older. To clarify, the dog did not actually jump out the window, but it was like a ghost dog thing that we both saw. But it was my dog, if that makes sense. When I was like 7 or 8 years old, I was playing outside in the yard and first heard what I saw a huge ass plane crashing. It was right above me, so close it covered almost all of the sky, but there was no plane crash. Apparently, I hallucinated, but I have no idea why I would and why it was so vivid. I used to fence, the sport, not stolen goods. I was at a tournament and had just started a bout against a competitor. You win the bout by being the first to 5 points. I scored, but I believe it was the first point, but the officials indicated the match is over and I won. I stood there, confused for a moment, but my opponent seems to agree and salutes and approaches for a handshake. So I go along with it. I check the scorecard and says I've won 5-2. Holy lost probably 4 or 5 minutes at the time. Hasn't happened since, to the best of my knowledge. But that's been 20 years, and I still wonder what happened. So I recently moved into a new house about 3 months ago. I'm 18, living on my own. I own a cat now, and I have to leave the door open. So every night, I have the door open to suffer from probably the worst sleep paralysis ever. In every dream, I get killed or hurt horrifically, and I can feel it. But one night, I started to leave the door closed, but I didn't have a sleep paralysis episode. So I left the door closed for a few nights, and nothing. I decided to test it and opened the door one night and had an episode of sleep paralysis. I don't know what the door being open gives me, why it gives me sleep paralysis, but I'm leaving that shit closed. This happened to me a few days ago. It was late. I was laying on my bed, playing on my phone. At this point, I had been on my bed for a few hours and barely got up. Out of nowhere, I smelled this deep cologne scent directly in front of my nose. I don't wear any perfume or cologne. I'm also by myself in my room. I tried to smell my clothes, pillow, but that didn't find that scent anywhere. The smell was gone after that one moment. Maybe it's just my brain remembering a certain scent, but it was so vivid that it scared me. Was lying about at my in-laws waiting for them to get back from church, and I heard someone playing the piano upstairs. Not full on playing, but more just like a plinking randomly, like someone was trying to figure out a song. Was surprised because I'd never heard anyone play that old thing, but someone was definitely playing it now. Went upstairs to ask how anybody actually got to the door without me hearing it, and nobody. The piano stopped as I got to the stairs. Huh. Told my wife about it, and she said I must have been dreaming. Nope, dead awake reading, and 100% it wasn't coming from next door or anything. She smiled indulgently. Next morning, the in-laws were again at morning mass, very Catholic, and I was again laying about reading, this time next to my wife, who was doing the same. Again came the piano. We sat there listening and turned to each other with raised eyebrows. A few breezy notes, a chord or two, but still not a song. Definitely coming from upstairs. "I think we can row out the wind," I quipped as she decided to go see who was playing. Again it stops as we get upstairs. Again the house is locked up tight. We just looked at each other like, what the fuck? Then we went to eat breakfast. No idea why this happened. No spooky stories about the house. And it never happened again. It was just odd. Well, there you go. There's some strange stories to rock you to sleep by or whatever. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Thank you for listening and watching. I appreciate it. If you liked this video or any of the other videos, would you mind leaving a like or maybe leave a comment? Subscribe to the channel. Share it with one of your friends or one of your enemies. Annoy them. That's okay too. You know, a view is a view, right? So anyway, thanks, and go check out something else, and we'll talk to you next time.